JSE set for a slightly positive start this morning as Asian markets and Tencent nudge up. The investors cautiously await the U.S. Federal Reserve's latest policy decision later today, with an interest rate hike widely expected. Jimmy Moyaha is independent markets analyst, joining us now for a quick analysis of how things are shaping up at the JSE. Jimmy, good morning to you. Your quick assessment of how the markets have opened this morning?
Morning, Chloe. Morning to our viewers. Markets have opened slightly positive. We are anticipating, as you mentioned, the interest rate decision from the US Fed later, and we're seeing that filter through in terms of price sentiment. You've got the dollar sitting at around 18 Rand 18, the euro sitting just below 18 Rand at about 17 Rand 90, and the pound sitting above 20 Rand, about 20 Rand and 80 cents. So markets in general at the moment are looking forward to what we can expect to see from the U.S. Interest rate decision. I mean, a lot of it has been priced in at this stage, and we are anticipating that 0.75% or 75 basis points will be the interest rate adjustment from the U.S. Fed. In terms of emerging markets, that's also been something that has been on the lookout. I mean, we know that our Reserve Bank governor locally has commented recently to say that he believes inflation may have peaked in South Africa. However, we're still a long way away from the midpoint of inflation targeting that they want between 3 and 6%. And so for that reason, we're not likely to see a decrease in interest rates anytime soon. But we have seen that the South African Reserve Bank has been following suit with a lot of what the US Fed has been doing in recent times. It'll be interesting to see how they start to deviate from that path if our inflation points are stabilizing quicker than those in the US.
Let's focus the attention on the currencies for a moment, Jimmy. Do we know what the impact of the strong dollar has been so far on emerging markets?
Yeah, so I mean, up until pretty much Thursday last week, the dollar strength that we've been seeing had been pushing emerging markets a lot weaker. We'd seen as far as the rand goes, we've seen the rand above 18 Rand 50 at one stage, or close to 18 Rand 50 at one stage. We've since seen it come down. We've since seen a bit of dollar weakness going into Thursday and Friday, of course, in anticipation of this week's announcements. But if we look at emerging markets, a lot of the emerging market currencies have seen a significant amount of weakness against the dollar. But that is also true for emerging markets or developed market currencies as well. The dollar strength that we've seen in recent times has been unprecedented strength across the board and hasn't been sort of limited towards emerging markets. We have, of course, seen the rand hold its own and fare quite strongly against that relative to other emerging market currencies. And although we're still sitting above 18 Rand, if we do start to see signs that South Africa's inflation might be turning the corner a lot quicker than what we're seeing in the US, and the US might still struggle with that, we might see that the rand might dip below 18 Rand, possibly closer towards that 17 Rand 50 level. I mean, we've still got a couple of other factors we need to get right before we see a lot more rand strength from that perspective. But against emerging markets, the dollar has been doing resoundingly well, and it's nice to see that amongst the emerging market currencies, the rand is still one of the stronger performing ones.
Let's talk company news for a moment. Dis-Chem Pharmacies posting its interim financial results for the 6 months, which ended on the 31st of August 2022. Talk us through their performance.
So Dis-Chem had a pretty strong set of results. Their group revenues were up about 9.3%. Their retail revenues up the same. Their store revenues were up about 3%, 3.6%. Their total income was up as well. They did announce, of course, that even though expenditure had increased, it was largely as a result of increasing number of stores. They've opened up a couple of new baby boom stores, as well as the Medicare businesses. They closed up about 8 of the Medicare businesses, but opened up, I think, 3 to 5 new pharmacies as well. Their capital expenditure was from the opening of new stores, they spent about 114 million Rand in capital expenditure to open those new stores, and about another 500 odds to maintain existing stores that they had throughout the financial year. They also announced an interim dividend of about 28 cents per share, and I think from their management's perspective, they've just said that everything at the moment is good for the first half year's performance, but going into the second half of the year, They anticipate that consumers will remain constrained with high inflation and high interest rates, and that will probably constrain performance a bit. They did give an indication that their 2 months, September and October, revenues were up some 5% there as well. So that's looking like a good start to the second half of the year for them. But overall, first half of the year results were really positive for them.
Let's conclude the conversation with MTN, Uganda and Rwanda. The results are out today. Your quick sense of how those units performed and what clues they give us about the overall group's performance.
Well, MTN at a group level has been doing really well for a significant period of time. And I mean, these third quarter results coming out of Uganda and Rwanda are a testament to that. I mean, Rwanda is still dealing with the amortization of that operating license, so that's still affecting their profits. So profit after tax in Rwanda was down about 23.7%. However, profit after tax in Uganda was up about 21%. So overall, at a group level, we're still seeing that the group is likely to continue to perform well. Nigeria results have come out as well. Ghana results have come out as well recently. We know that the Uganda results are going to, there's a conversation around that. The results announcement officially is happening today in terms of just discussing those numbers, but it looks like overall subscriptions are up, fintech users are up, mobile subscriptions, data subscriptions are up between both the Rwanda and the Uganda businesses, and it just looks as though their margins are still holding intact at the moment. Earnings before interest and tax on both businesses were reported positive, and it just remains to be seen how long it's going to take the Rwanda business to amortize that license renewal that they had in 2021, but they seem to be taking that within their stride. I mean, their Q3 results were very much in line with what their Q2 results were that were reported earlier in the year, and it looks as though they're going to continue to face some short-term headwinds while they amortize that licensing cost, but their revenues and their subscription bases continue to grow.
All right, Jimmy Moyaha, thank you very much for that markets update. Thanks indeed for your time. Let's take